Boom, boom. Let's go to the Twitch just to see whether or not everything is operating correctly. Pardon me, I needed to do some chapstick onto my face. Here we go. All right. I even set up the camera this time. Let's kill that. Oh, fuck you, Nightbot. You don't work anymore. You are not earning your keep. Oh, I forgot to set up my references, but that's okay. I like that one. And how about, that's more of a background thing. Did I do a collage for that? Yes, I did. Well, sort of. That belongs in there. Do I want to? I don't know. It's supposed to be 1080p, but it looks awfully fuzzy. Oh, shimmy. Did I? Let's see, do I have a? Nope. Nope, nope, nope. I want a filter layer, which is this button, desaturate. This is, I have been intimidated by, shoot, continuing this picture because I know it can never be as good or interesting as what is in my mind, but you're just gonna have to deal with it. I did do a little tinkering with it since last stream, but it's still blah blah blah. Is this? Oh yeah, ideas for effects. So how is everybody doing tonight? I hope you are doing well. That is that. Let's take that off for the moment. What did I want? I wanted this, this. Maybe, maybe not. I think what I really want to do, let me think about this, is try to get some sort of shadows, values going. And I think that will help me inform how I'm going to handle this. I don't know. I really didn't even feel like drawing much today, but I wanted to talk. This is the only way I can do that. Because I don't have cats anymore, which makes me sad. Maybe this one as well. Oh, and this one also. I'm doing things that you can't see, but they involve pictures of boobies, so I'm not going to share. And I'm really sorry. Although, I guess these are tasteful? Question mark. Let's see. How can I arrange this best? don't think I can. What? Whoa, why is that happening? Oh, because I'm a moron. Thinking. Let's see. I guess I can. Here. Don't tell anybody if you see any boobies. This is the kind of sort of the style that I want to emulate, but I know I will fail. But I'm just trying to arrange these things in a way that maximizes their visibility. This right here, you can see my cursor, can't you? Yes, you can. Kind of the pose that I really liked. I really like that for the thing I'm doing. Anyway, this is an artist named Virgil Finlay, or Finlay, I guess. He is awesome. I think that's going to be the best I can do. What if I do that? Is that going to help? No. But we'll roll with that. All right, print screen. So I don't have to do this again. I will do a screenshot. There we go. So yeah, main art. So what I'm thinking right now is if I just do the shadows, maybe that will help me. I don't know. It probably won't. Let's do this. We'll put you here. We'll name you. Some streamers have a little intro screen when they start. It's like, stream will be starting in 10 minutes and a countdown and shit. I just screw around for 8 minutes and 12 seconds before I actually do anything. So the light is going to be coming here from above, but it's not going to be like a single light source. It's going to be like this, and I want it to be very harsh lighting. So very dark darks and very bright brights. Let's see if we can do that. Oh yeah, I'm on camera. I have to remember I set my camera up. Try to minimize picking my nose. So do that and that. Let's start here. And this is going to be a black bra. So just do this. And this is kind of sort of going to be just a rough idea of the shadows, because I think that's going to be important. I don't know what I want to do with her hand here. When people aren't doing anything with their hands, it feels like I'm always making it really awkward. So this, I don't know about that. Maybe not that. Just make this side of her face dark. And the hair will be mostly dark. this. Boop, boop, boop. I don't know. That seems her making her head cast shadow on her neck. Seems a little wonky, but I don't know. Maybe it'll be okay. And her. Dark shadows here. This little clown nose here. And I want to do the style of Virgil Finlay, but I don't want to do the pointillism. Where the hell are the shadows going to be? Because if it's... We'll do this here. I don't know, if the light's coming from above, would it show off her pits? I don't know. Probably the side of her face wouldn't be quite as drastic. Oh yeah, I don't really want to do the pointillism, all the dots, because that would take forever. So I'm going to try to cheat it with just grays. Let's see, this I know I can. All of this, even though it's I'm making it just the values, dark or not, I can play with it, add some more gray tones, but I just want the harsh shadows because that's what he does and it looks really cool. And all of this kind of shadow, maybe. What's happening with her right arm here? Is it going to be in front? Let's put it in back for now. Boop, boop. See how that works. I'm imagining all of this lower half just kind of disappearing into sparkles and lines and stuff. I don't know. That's... And then the thighs kind of sort of. Just big shadowy knees. That seems dumb. And all of that would be pretty light. I don't know. How does that look? This part here looks wonky. Maybe. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, boop, boop. Something like this. I don't know. All right. I think, yeah, let's just give her like X-Men underwear or something. I don't know. Maybe a skirt. I don't know. I didn't think about the lower half. As far as clothes, maybe a skirt would be good. Or maybe it would be bad. I think thematically, Shu would be wearing kind of a leather skirt, and Berkeley would be wearing some more sparkly thing. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Definitely more here. I don't even know if I'm going to use this. It just seemed like the next thing to look at. It seemed appropriate. Sure. Let's I kind of want to work on the faces, but I don't know. I'm worried that it's just going to suck. Anyway. What if... Where do we go from here? Something like this. Pinkish. What if we just do straight up black? I probably want to tighten up these lines before I try to ink them. They're pretty rough. How about... We'll do that. We'll try this, and we'll see how this goes. Just kind of pencil it. And we're gonna need better references for that chimney. Man. Let's go back here. All right. So yeah, just on a rope. I don't like that. Both of these ladies are pretty skinny. Yeah, maybe. Maybe this is too curved. That style, maybe. I don't know. I'll just call it good. I am trying to. Oh, hello, doctor. Trying to be more natural or more forgiving with what I'm drawing, but I've been trying to do that for decades. Haven't quite nailed it yet. She has very distinct collarbones. I'm not good at winging it as much as I try. Should that be lower? Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Maybe whoops. I don't have a lot of confidence in my ability to pull this off, but I've just been letting it sit here. I figured I'd try. Just try it. And if it looks poopy, then it does. I still haven't fixed Nightbot. I tried at one point for like half an hour to figure it out. I figured out it's not reading my chat. And I don't know why it isn't. Yeah, if it's... I don't know. I still love the idea of these two women being... This one woman being split into two women and trying to... in a teleporter. I still think that's pretty funny. That looks like a hand, right? That's kind of handish. If I make it all shadowy. Let's see. Try to... The thing is, the more detail you add to a figure, the more ugly it looks unless you're really good at it. Do the old comic book way. Just put X's where the you want the blacks to be. What if... Nope. Did I do that again? Yes. So I went to another comedy show, technically last night. I really enjoyed it. This one, it was called Switch. I don't know why. I don't know what the name meant, but the conceit of it was people would text in subjects and the comedians would do a riff on whatever the audience was texting in. And there weren't a whole lot of people, maybe 15 people in the crowd. And half of them were the comedians. But it was still fun. I've been enjoying going to the comedy shows. Let's put that over there for now. And I texted, shit, did I leave my phone? Yes, I left it in the bedroom, but I can look it up here. I texted how many subjects? A bunch. And they used every one of them, and it made me wonder if there just weren't a lot of people texting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I did 11 suggestions and they used all of them. It was supposed to be anonymous. But I was wondering if there's only like 2 people texting in subjects. I mean, is it going to be pretty clear that these things are from person A and these things are from person B? Anyway. But a lot of what other subjects that other people were doing were, of course, just lewd things. Used 11. The well seems a little dry. Yeah, there were 4 or 5 comedians. Oh, and there was also one that I shouted out early on because they had a debate and they said, somebody shout out a subject for us to debate about. And they had 2 comics up. And one of the comics, the woman was wearing a denim jacket and jeans. And so I shouted Canadian tuxedo. And the other comedian didn't even know what a Canadian tuxedo was. And they seemed kind of befuddled by that. How to argue pro and con. Let's see. This is probably a little... I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do the effect. Anyway, but it was fun. I've been enjoying going to the comedy shows and I want to go to more. That's the thing that just did not exist where I lived in Maine. Just... Is this? I don't know. It looks like her torso and everything is too much. Or hers is too anemic. And I have no idea why it was called Switch. I guess maybe because they kept switching topics. I don't know. Here, I'll read out what my suggestions were. Some of these were kind of reactions to what was happening, what they were talking about. But a lot of this, I just tried to do it just very random. But I did time travel. Here, can I show? Oh, nope. I just realized it has actual numbers on there. Although that's just the number of the subject. Anyway, time travel, uncomfortable silence, piracy, depression, owls, social anxiety, football, string theory, parents, horror movies, and whooping cough. And the only reason I put string theory is because they had a limited amount of space on their display of the subjects, and I wanted to put quantum entanglement, but I knew they wouldn't have enough space to write that out, so I put string theory instead. But those were the subjects that I put. And, other people would put subjects like, oh, ball gag and morning wood and, just pretty crude stuff, which is fine, but just not really. It's crowd pleasing stuff, but it just seems kind of typical to me. I was more interested in esoteric subjects. Should that be like that? How do necks work? I did read somewhere some artists commenting to remember that the head, neck, and head are limbs, just like the arms and legs. And that actually, thinking about it that way, actually helped me a bit. Oh, my nose itches so much. Why does my nose itch? I really just wanted to kind of get an idea of. Oh, and one of the subjects was that somebody texted in was just Clifford. And the comedian started talking about Clifford, the big red dog, and immediately started talking about, well, how big was, if Clifford was so giant, how big was his penis? And, that stuff, it's fine, but it makes me wonder if I tried to do any kind of comedy for a crowd like that, they just would not be interested in me talking about other subjects like movies and quantum entanglement and stuff. Should this, I don't know. How about this crap? What happens if we do this? And when I did, the comedian was talking about uncomfortable silence. And of course, he did a lot of uncomfortable silence. And he was talking about making people uncomfortable and staring straight at somebody in silence. And he looked directly at me and stared at me. Like I said, there weren't a lot of people in the crowd. There wasn't anybody else to look at. And that was quite uncomfortable, but I took it in stride. I thought it was very silly. Thanks. Doing it the old school way. Mm-hmm. Did go to an open mic a while ago. Not a while ago, like maybe a week ago? Or was it 2 weeks ago? And this was not a comedy open mic. This was just an anything open mic. I think I already talked about this. I did already talk about this. And it was mostly people hooking up their PCs and singing along to music. I did talk about this. I'll shut up. No, this guy says something about Clifford's dick. Didn't I say how big is Clifford's pancreas? See, that's a great point. I would have thought that was hilarious if they started talking about his pancreas instead of his penis. I don't want this to look like they're Siamese twins. Maybe that's unavoidable. I don't know. This probably would just be all black. And then sparklies and shit. Let's work on these faces a bit. It needs to be done. They're in pretty sad shape currently. Oh, that's over there. I was drawing a woman's face off stream, and I just kept redrawing her nose. I think I drew her nose 5 times and started over and over, and I still was never happy with it. I'm expecting similar results here. Oops. How about I was trying for a while to start with the nose and add all the other features around the nose, and I don't know. I was having mixed results. I think I was just adding too much to it, and it really needed to be a minimalist thing. But I just want to add every little curve and shadow. But that's another thing where adding more detail just makes it look more ugly. Her nose is very straight. Noses are weird. If you're not looking at a nose, noses in profile are easier to do. But noses at all these stupid weird angles that I do, they're tougher. What about something like that? Maybe if I just don't give women nostrils anymore, just no more nostrils, maybe that will look okay. No more nostrils. Too much. See this? I mean, it's not better than the initial rough. Maybe it is. I don't know. Let's see, what else have I been up to? I've been doing other stuff this week. It's my calendar. Other stuff to talk about. Oh, I went to a sculpture festival. Calling it a festival is really being very generous. It was just kind of a little sculpture fair, but it was pretty cool. I don't know, maybe 30 or 40 artists all had their sculptures set up, and some of them were quite cool. And I wanted to take pictures of the stuff that I liked, but it just seems rude to do that while the artist is right there. Even if I ask the artist for permission, it just seems inappropriate. So I didn't. I just took cards. I took business cards of all the artists who had them that I liked. This one was cool. Let's see. Yeah, that was a sculpture. I don't know if that one was on display. Oh, that's cool. But yeah, I just grabbed a bunch of business cards, and I figured I would just look them up later, and I haven't yet. But sculpture is the sort of thing I have very, very briefly tried to do, like clay, putty and stuff, and it was so hard. I mean, I'm sure just like anything with practice, it would get better, but it was, even though I feel like my brain thinks in 3 dimensions a lot, it was just very, very difficult. Even just trying to do like an abstract piece, just a silly thing. I want her to be, there we go. Boop, boop. So sad. I want her to be sad. I used to just make eyeballs, people's eyes, just all black, just no and just call it good. No whites of their eyes. But it just, I don't know, would I do highlights? I might. But it just looked, in retrospect, it just looked really creepy. I did it mostly because I thought it looked cool. And it was just easier. But I think it didn't work. 3D sculpting is, of course, more forgiving, and I enjoyed it. The clay sculpting I did was a little torturous for me. Yeah, that's something that's kind of kept me away from trying 3D software, is because the clay sculpting was so hard. And I feel like, I think it's where I have an idea in my head of what I want, and I just can't execute it. And it was just very frustrating. And I mean, that's how, does she look? I mean, she's supposed to look kind of deadpan. I mean, anything you are not practiced at, that's going to be the situation. You just aren't going to have the skills initially. I don't know if that nose works, but that's the best we're going to get. And mouth. I think, well, I don't think I know. If I didn't worry so much about trying to recreate my reference and just thought about what looks good or interesting, what I'm drawing, I would probably feel more confident about it. But I just keep going back to the reference and thinking, no, that lip looks too big. That doesn't look quite right. Especially with things like drawing lips. I think it would probably look fine if I just didn't draw the lips at all, but or at least not the upper lip. But it's so prominent in the reference photo, I feel like I need to put it in there. I don't know. One of these days, I'll come up with a style that I'm happy with. Don't mind me. I'm just doing my usual. Oh yeah, I forgot. Half of this is going to be in shadow. Well, I'll do that with the pencil. Whoops. All of this. Hey. That chin needs improvement. Her jaw is a little bit wider. Wee bit wider. Maybe. I think these eyeballs might be too big, but that's okay. And I think this is mostly going to be hair coming down. Something like that. Oh yeah, I went to the sculpture thing and that was nice. I enjoyed that. It was at a nearby park. What else did I do? I went to a show. It was called Female Storytellers. And it was exactly what it sounds like. It was women. I think they had 5 women overall who would just get up on stage and tell stories. Most of them just, had a story written out. And some of them who I think were more natural, not natural performers, but practice performers, told their stories. But it was pretty good and I enjoyed it. But there were maybe 200 people in the audience. It was pretty packed for what it was. And I think I was one of 10 men in the audience. When I got to the door and I bought my ticket, the first thing the woman said that took my money was, "Oh, are you here with somebody?" I think I may have been the only single man that was there. So I guess I can understand them being suspicious of me. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. and it's a monthly thing, so I will probably go to the next one if I can. And they did mention another storytelling thing that is not just women. It is open for anybody, called the Odyssey storytelling. And I think that's a monthly thing that I'd like to go to. I think March has already happened. And that also seems like a thing that maybe I might enjoy doing if I have a story to tell. I don't know about those eyes. They're functional. I compulsively want to draw like every little eyelid and eyelash, but I know that can get tricky. I don't think she's sad enough, but that's okay. How do I make this woman more sad? Something like that. I think that looks okay, but I think it doesn't quite fit on that body. It's definitely gigantic. Let's see. Maybe that's a little better. Maybe. We'll do that for now, and if we have to shrink it some more, then we will. How does that compare to this? I guess that's okay. I don't know. I think she does need a bit more hair. I think it kind of fans out a little bit. Not quite that. But it is like straight on top, and then it just kind of gets very curly towards the bottom. I don't know if that's a natural thing or if there's some straightening or perming going on. Don't be startled when I hit the follow button. I might be startled. I am easily startled. Here, I'll hit the mute, so if it comes up on screen, I won't hear it. No, I won't do that. Oh, there it is. How come it's not showing up on the screen, though? Shit. Sorry about that. You heard it, though. I don't know. Oh, did I put the alerts underneath? I think I had the alert window underneath the, oops, the art, but that's okay. Hello, Painterly 2D. And that song, you should have heard that song. I hope you heard that song. That was actually something I recorded with my friends 20 years ago. So I'm not worried about it being copyright protected because I played bass on that song. I am attempting to draw a woman in a teleporter accident being split into two different people. And it's a challenge for someone with my limited skills, but that's what I'm trying to do. This is where it gets tricky right here. Oh, did I thank you? Thank you for following. That's very nice of you. Did I? Yeah. Actually, I would want to change that follow message anyway, but it's okay for now. I want to blah, 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 blah. I might frame it more like this. Not so much leg, sexy leg. Love the strange idea. Well, I'm glad you love it. I think it's pretty silly. And I kind of sort of am aiming, I know I won't actually execute this, but I'm kind of sort of aiming for the style of Virgil Finlay. He was an old pulp magazine artist who is just amazing. I love his artwork. And so I've been kind of looking at this stuff for reference. I haven't really gotten to that kind of detail yet. But if I could pull that off, that would be really cool. He might be like the best pulp artist. I don't think I've seen anyone as good as him. And I love that stuff. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting my camera's on. I guess it doesn't matter. I think I've been keeping my head kind of sort of in frame. All right, we're gonna try to work on that other head. Head number 2. Let's try. Try. It's pretty bad right now. I don't know. Is that nose okay? Is it okay? I guess it's okay. Do you know why the absurd walked into the door? I don't know. I'm sorry to say. I'm not privy to that information. Let's do this. And this is going to be all, maybe not so curvy. That makes her neck look like massively thick. And that makes her look like a bodybuilder. Why do people have necks anyway? Necks are stupid. Maybe if I just make it all black, it'll be fine. That, I think, definitely should not be like that. Maybe her head is still too huge. I don't know. Bloop. Boop. I'll just leave that for now. Why not? Okay, now let's move on to Showgirl. I am suddenly quite hungry, but I can't eat right now. Oh, put my head in the frame. That's very important. No, I don't want that. I want that. Pardon me while I mumble to myself while doing things that you can't see. I don't know. Should I explain again for my new viewer where this idea even came from? Delicious ceiling view. Yes, it's quite the ceiling. Ceiling, you can see the doorway there, then the closet that just filled with a bunch of boxes, and the ceiling fan. You can see the ceiling fan up there too. Pretty exciting stuff. Do as well, maybe, perhaps. If anybody is interested who has not already heard the story of this stupid picture, let me know and I will tell you. All right, yeah, I just want to work on her face right now, so I'm not going to worry about the poses. That should be fine. Oh, shit. Oh, we're good. We're good. I know that Twitch has content sort of adjusted their content settings. I think the idea being to allow some adult stuff, but just let people know that's what they're in for. But I'm not quite sure where I fit in that spectrum, because I will occasionally curse and occasionally talk about adult things, but I don't consider myself especially an adult artist or a content creator. So they need to have a setting that's just like kind of curses every now and then, but mostly safe for work. Okay, let's try this now that I'm done screwing around there. I have a warning now, yeah. I think it may be channel warning rather than an individual stream. I think some of the warnings are just automatic. Like if you're playing a gory horror movie, they'll just automatically give you the warning stuff. But for stuff like art and just chatting, it's you have the option now that you didn't have before, or at least I didn't notice before, of saying it's adult material. All right, now her. Why? Oh, because I put those under the D. That's why that was doing that. Okay. Sorry, mumbling to myself. Let me see. Is this? Let me take a look here. Stream information. Content classification. Select content labels. Whoops. Let's see. We've got drugs, intoxication, or see, this content classification is new-ish. Maybe it's within the past year. Drugs, intoxication, or excessive tobacco use, gambling, mature rated game. That's the one where it will automatically put that label on there if you're playing a game. Significant profanity or vulgarity. Prolonged and repeated use of obscenities, profanities, and vulgarities, especially as a regular part of speech. See, I do not consider myself to be prolonged and repeated, more occasional. Sexual themes, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that means you can draw nipples on women now. You gotta stop talking about Quaaludes. Stop talking about Quaaludes. Violent graphic depictions. See, in relation to art streams, this is something that you would have to click every time. Well, I mean, you might be able to set it and forget it, but anyway. So now that I've read it and it says excessive vulgarity, that gives me the impression that non-excessive vulgarity does not need a content warning. I saw some behind the scenes stuff of Wolf of Wall Street, which I think is what you were referencing. And I was having a really hard time with her nose as well. And it was about the effects and just all sort of the hidden effects, mostly like when they were on a yacht in Italy or something, and the pier and the yacht were real, and all the background of Italy was fake. And well, fake, it was, digital background, and there was just a lot of it in that movie that you just wouldn't notice until it was pointed out. And I was just watching a video. It was a series about basically filmmakers claiming that they're not using CGI in their movies, and then this guy points out all the CGI that they use in their movies. And for the newest Top Gun movie, Tom Cruise is in a bunch of interviews saying how they didn't use any CGI and they filmed all the airplanes. So bad. And then this YouTube channel went into the details of all of the CGI, and like 90% of all the airplane stuff was done with CGI. And it's like a badge of honor, apparently, in modern filmmakers to say that they're not using CGI, computer generated imagery, if you will. And there was a behind the scenes video for the Barbie, and they went so far as to edit the behind the scenes footage, and they edited out all the blue screens to make it look like everything was practical. Does the general audience even care if they're CGI or not? I don't think so. I would think it's something maybe 1%, maybe 2%, and I'm just making this number off the top of my head, maybe would even notice or care about. But it's just a really big deal for some filmmakers. And apparently there are a lot of silly websites like BuzzFeed. I mean, I can just put a link to the series at some point, but who misquote or take quotes out of context and run with it and make ridiculous claims about not using CGI. And I am not pro or anti CGI. I think you need to be judicious and, as a filmmaker, just make judgment calls as to what calls for it and what doesn't, and when to use practical things. I think it's just one of many tools for telling a story. And I think some of the best stuff is where practical and CGI sort of are blended together or used in conjunction. Is that the word? I don't know. Anyway, it's just like Christopher Nolan, and supposedly tries to do as much practically as he can, but apparently in like interviews, if you ask him about it, he will be honest about how much CGI he actually puts into his movies. For a mix of practical and CG, The Fifth Element uses models for spaceships, which I remember liking a lot. Yeah, I think a mix is good. I think having something on the set for actors to react to is really valuable. Something that isn't just ping pong balls on a stick. I think this looks too much. I don't know. I think the real problem is the rough hairs is just way off. Anyway, yeah, it's and they even had like he showed a clip of an interview with Elizabeth Olsen talking about she was like looking out a window in one of the Avengers movies and she just looked very somber. And then when she saw the final cut, it was just all of this massive destruction and everything. And she said she didn't know that's what she was supposed to be looking at and reacting to. Nobody told her. She has very pronounced eyelash extension. Boop, 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 boop. I'm not quite sure if I can execute that. And actually, one thing that this video pointed out, and I feel compelled to link to it now, was something a lot of filmmakers are doing now is they're filming a lot of things practically and then replacing all of it with CGI, which is kind of what happened with the Top Gun movie, is they did film a lot of actual airplanes in the sky and then just replaced everything, but they had because they all right, no CGI is really just invisible CGI was the video. The movie Rabbit Hole. And I don't expect you to click on this link or anything, but I feel like if I'm going to keep talking about it, I should at least point to what I'm talking about. But yeah, so that seems to be stuff that looks, yeah, no makeup look. Stuff that looks really good is when they do film something practically. And then it's just really good lighting reference. And even if they replace everything, the fact that they filmed it practically to start with just made it look so much better than if they didn't have anything on the set. I don't know. That's one of those nerd videos that I just gobble up. And I saw, because I watched the Corridor crew VFX artists react. I watch all of those. I love those. Her expression, man, I don't know about the expression. I want her to have more emotion than the other lady. Here it's just kind of happy and sad. It really should be excited and indifferent. Maybe she looks a little too sad. I don't know. But yeah, it's sort of like a bragging point. Boasting about a thing that 99% of people just don't care about. Something only behind the scenes nerds are interested in. Let's... Yeah. this. Yeah. Did I screenshot that? I don't remember. Yes, I did. Okay. That doesn't work. Not so good. That's one thing that I lament with the popularity of streaming is DVD special features have, I don't think they've disappeared, but they're just not common. Science fact / fiction. I have not read that book. I am not familiar with that. What if I move her mouth? Whoops. I'm assuming that sounds like a sort of book where maybe they cover misconceptions about science, perhaps in movies. It's a little bit better, I think. I know I've talked about this before, but I do find it funny that sort of science buzzwords in movies that just kind of evolve depending on what modern how much people know about a thing. There's a thrift store yesterday. Sci-fi short story compilation. There's a story that reminded me of Grey Goo theory. I've heard, yeah, crabs take over the island. Oh, cool. Yes, I know Futurama did a Grey Goo themed story. It was one of their anthology things, like out of, but yeah, that's pretty cool. I've been really having a hankering to read sci-fi short stories lately. I did get a library card. That's not how lips work. And I borrowed an ebook, but I just never think to read on my phone. Oh yeah, but my initial point that I know I've talked about before is there was a certain shift in the movie landscape where science, crazy things in science used to be explained by radiation, people getting powers, radiation or whatever, and then it turned into nanobots, and today everything happens because of nanobots. And it's just sort of the cultural buzzword. And now when people figured out that radiation doesn't give you superpowers, it just makes you really sick and die of cancer. Published in 1974, computer make these wireframe kind of images for the book. It's neat. There was a Batman graphic novel that was, this would have been when I was in high school, so early 90s, that was touted as the first computer, I guess CGI, the first computer generated artwork for a graphic novel. And I think the art was really, really bad. But it was, at the time, it was just so unique and unusual because it was all done on computers. I think that was something that my friend Barry had. But it looked kind of like something you would see as maybe like a previs for storyboards or something. Non-Euclidean geometry. Exactly. They don't know what that means. It's just a buzzword. These people don't know. And I don't expect the general public to be science literate to the latest discoveries and stuff. But it would be nice if writers did just sort of cursory research into what the hell they're writing about. Her jaw is kind of, I got it a little too wide here. I think maybe her cheek should be more something like that. Still doesn't look a goddamn thing like the actress, but at least that nose is still way too wide. Way too wide. I read a book a long time ago that it was a collection of short stories that were turned into movies, and it had like Total Recall. I remember. I know I've talked about this before. This mindfulness group. My therapy office, and there's a woman there who talks about this science podcast, and you can tell she's quoting it verbatim, reading it back to you, and she doesn't understand. Yeah, I've been there. I know. Well, sometimes there's just fascinating things that happen in science. You know that book. Well, that's cool. I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was just really cool to see how close or how far the movies or TV shows were from the original material. And like Total Recall, the story by Philip K. Dick, has very, very little resemblance to the movie, either movie. How do I want to do this? Do I want to show her teeth? Is that going to look weird? I hate mindfulness group, but I don't want to lose my meds between therapists. Oh, that's too bad. Yeah, mindfulness is one of those things that is tough. Really? I've already forgotten what I was talking about, really. Oh yeah, the Total Recall story, the original story. It's there. The only thing that it really has in common is this guy. He thinks he's leading one life, and it turns out he's leading in truth, he's had his memory erased and or replaced, and it's something different. But I don't know if even Mars is even mentioned in it. I think there was something about a wand, like a magic wand in the short story that was just kind of silly. I would recommend it if you can track down the original Total Recall story and you are familiar with the movie, just how drastically different it is. Oh yeah, the science stuff is, there's some stuff that's pretty interesting and amazing, but it's just wrapping your mind around it is very difficult. I'm thinking specifically of quantum entanglement, which is just a very weird phenomenon. And just getting sort of the vague idea of what it is pretty fascinating, but actually trying to understand what the hell is happening is almost impossible. Oh, what am I doing? Why did I do that? Oh, nope. I didn't even want to do that. I want to. Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's try this again. And then you got morons like Deepak Chopra. Is he still around? Is that asshole still around? Who just pick up on the phrases and completely twist it into this really silly, they use words like quantum and nano, whatever. I haven't read or heard from him for quite a while. And then they just use it to manufacture their own fantasy and pretend that it's reality. Right. She has very distinct curls. At least it kind of sort of looks like a lady this time. There used to be a Deepak Chopra quote generator. Let's see. Random. It just would grab phrases. Let's see. Perception unfolds into universal mortality. It's a random fictional quote. Let's see. Let's have another. Mice are mules? I don't. Let's see. Each of us explains intrinsic mysteries. See, this is. Yeah. Anyway, fuck that guy. Although, on a certain level, with scammers like that, I can't blame them for just giving people what they want. And if you start spewing bullshit and people start buying it, and if that is what works, I really can't blame somebody for cashing in, having just no hesitation and no morals about it. It's repulsive and repugnant and harmful, but I get it. Now her hair is curly from top to bottom. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to make that work with the harsh shadows that I want. Who does this remind me of? This. At one point, I was writing a comic where the main character was pulling versions of himself from other dimensions to take care of his ailing grandmother. It got too messy, and I realized I wasn't smart enough to make it work. That does sound like a very cool idea. And I did just read a book that played with that idea. I don't know. I want to tell you about the book, but I don't want to make it sound like I don't want to be rude about it and poop on your idea. But basically, a guy just meeting many different versions of himself from other dimensions. And then all of them kind of congregate. You don't care. Okay. I don't remember. Maybe you would like that book. I don't know. I don't remember what the name of it is, but I can find out. I probably put it on Goodreads. But yeah, a guy who is obsessed with science. Oh wow, that's an old picture. Where's? Oh, there it is. I'm not good at multitasking. No. Oh, maybe I didn't put it on Goodreads. Shit. Oh well. Just give me a moment. Oh, I guess I didn't. But anyway, I forget what the name of the book was. Yeah, so he creates this experiment so we can go back and forth between dimensions, and then he lands in a dimension where he wasn't obsessed with science, and instead he just stuck with his girlfriend and eventually married her and had a family, and he never invented the dimension hopping thing. And he realized that was the life that he really wanted, and he regretted figuring out how to hop through dimensions. So he tries to take the place of the other guy. I don't remember if he murders him or not, but basically. And then the first half of the book was kind of dull, but then it got really interesting at the end of the book, because all of these different versions from different dimensions started showing up in this one dimension where he was happily married. And everybody, there are like hundreds of copies of him that wanted to live this life. And that aspect of it was very much more interesting than the rest of the book, when he was just wandering around dimensions. This still... That hair's still not there. Maybe... Whoops. Oh, I wish I could remember what book that was. I'm not as vigilant about rating books on Goodreads as I am about rating movies on IMDb. I think that was just like some mostly random book I just picked out at the library. She needs more hair. Should she have, oops, should she have some hair down here? You can't really tell that it's pulled back into kind of a bun. Maybe if I add some stuff here, it'll be a little more clear. It's a book called Resurrectionist about a woman and her husband who are being repeatedly killed by her neighbor who has the ability to bring people back to life. Kind of blows, but author does a few fun things with it. Too grotesque even for me. Even for you? That's got to be pretty gross. That's pretty cool. That's kind of... I like that idea. That happens too often where you find interesting or clever ideas in a story, science fiction story or movie, but the storytelling is just not there. Either there's not enough for a full story, or the person who has the interesting idea doesn't quite know how to execute it. Did I mean, I like these better. What I really want to do is figure out the effect. How to do this effect. And I don't know how I'm going to do it. Don't need that. We don't need that. I'm trying to think of examples and I can't think of anything. What, say, no. James White wrote the book, was an MMA fighter, and a guy he trained was particularly brutal. Resurrectionist got passed around in the community as an explanation why his protege was so violent. That's kind of weird. There is a writer slash director who, I think they did an episode of him about him on the Dollop back when I used to listen to that podcast. He just wrote a lot of, seems like a nice guy. I emailed him. Well, cool. I think there are a contingency, a number of professional fighters that are personally just very nice, respectable people, even though what they do is very violent. And you could probably say that about football players too. There are plenty of brain dead punchers and fighters, but how am I going to do this? I don't know. I'm going to do this. I don't know. Maybe I should ink it and then screw around. Well, let's... Do I want... Excuse me. Let me think about this for a second. Well, let me think about this. I think I had a point, something I was going to say, and I forgot because I'm trying to figure this out. What if... Bring that down. Oh yes, there was a director. He directed He wrote and directed a lot of very violent movies. I remember The Hitcher was one of them. Was that the 80s? That must have been the 80s. With Rutger Hauer and C. Thomas Howell. 1986. Who was... Eric Red was the writer. And he just had a lot of very violent things in his movies. And apparently, I think there was a lot of stuff with cars, like cars crashing into things and whatever. And then he ended up doing a lot of terrible things that were in his screenplays, like crashing into other cars in like a very specific way. I forget exactly, but which sort of made it seem like it was some sort of fantasy fulfillment for him to come up with all these hyper violent things and then actually go out and do them. So, all right, we want bubbles. I don't think that's going to work, but let's maybe bubbles on the nips. Oh, you didn't see that. I really don't. My heart is not into this. I think maybe if I did it very meticulously, it could go well. Oh yeah, here it is on Wikipedia. Oh, are you looking up Eric Red? Yeah, he's a bad person. Let's take a look. American screenwriter and director. Near Dark, yep. Crash. Crashed his truck into a crowded bar. Attempted suicide. I don't remember that part. Wow. Yeah, so crashing a car into a bar, I think that's something that happened in one of his movies. I mean, I loved The Hitcher. I thought that was a fantastic movie. Yeah, Near Dark, that was okay. I know there was more than is on this Wikipedia. There was more that he did that was pretty bad as far as violent and harming people. But it's unfortunate because there's lots of people creating really good fiction that is full of violence, but it's all fiction and they do it well. And I don't like people thinking that means if somebody writes a horror movie, that means they're a psychopath. But some people are. What if, let's see, I really like this idea of having these circles, but instead of drawing the circle, just having it be negative space. So it would be, whoops. Actually, let's do that. It would be more like this, because that's something Virgil Finlay does, is just has like white lines. It's negative space. I like that idea a lot. How high up? And then, I don't know, maybe please. Let's try you. I thought Near Dark was okay. I watched it 2 or 3 years ago, and I didn't like it as much as whenever the hell I first watched it. I think it just seemed kind of slow. The pace was kind of plodding. Let's see, what if we just have little... sparkles. sparkling bra. I don't know. I'm not in love with that either. But it's really hard to tell this early. I think this is something I'm just gonna have to apply afterwards, after I've done sort of a black inky layer. I do have some pictures of Star Trek teleporters just because I felt like that's just what people are most familiar with is the Star Trek transporter. They do have sparklies happening. Came out very close in time with Lost Boys. To say, oh yeah, Lost Boys, Near Dark, and Nightbreed. I saw them the same night. Wow, that's quite an evening. Lost Boys. I wonder if that holds up. I loved that movie. Starring Alex Winter, who went on to play Bill of Bill and Ted. And I don't think he had any lines in that movie. He was just vampire number 3. I want some kind of radiating lines. I don't. I don't know. Maybe just do this all the way. Again, I don't want it to look like they're Siamese twins. So this part right here needs to really emphasize that it's splitting into 2. Maybe just little stars. I could. The original script, Grandpa was supposed to. Oh, he was the real vampire. That's interesting. I think they made the right call, though. I mean, that is such a classic line. You know, the one thing I can't stand about this city is all the damn vampires. Oh, yeah, I could just draw a few sparklies and then cut and paste them. If I do these, will that make it more distinct? If I have a background, even if it's just all black or all gray, I don't know. I feel like conceptually this isn't working. Or at least the only way to do it well is to be very, very meticulous about it. And I just don't want to. What if we want a fill layer? Get black, maybe gray. This looks more like magic and less like a science transporter. Maybe. I mean, if it was more of a Star Trek thing, you would have this kind of. Boop, boop. I do remember watching a behind the scenes of Next Generation, and they actually, for the transporter effect, they actually just put glitter in a glass and stirred it up. What if I could do like smoke, like a cloud of smoke? Every time I do see transporters in a Star Trek movie or show, I do think to myself, that person has just died and a copy was made. But that person is essentially dead. Why do I do this to myself? Why? Oops. Maybe. And this just might be something where it's just, I can't really get a good idea of what it's going to look like in the rough. What if we do something like this? And then this. Maybe all of these lines could have lines radiating out of them. Or maybe they could be composed of something like that. Is it Star Wars or Star Trek? Navigate my life smiling and nodding when people ask about it in public. That's fair. That makes me think of, there's just a lot of modern and pop music where I know these people as celebrities, but I have never ever heard their music. Like Drake and Kanye West and Beyonce and Lady Gaga and stuff. I'm familiar that they create music. I've never actually heard their music. How do I draw this split and make it look cool and sparkly? I used to like, I mean, if you've never seen it, then this won't mean anything to you, but I used to be just like Star Trek far over Star Wars. But then I just started thinking about how in the Star Trek universe, whatever alien species you are dictates your behavior. And it just really felt super racist to me, especially the Ferengi. All of them are like very greedy and always trying to bargain and cajole people into taking advantage of them and stuff. And that's just their behavior and their trait. And it just felt like this is just a caricature of the greedy Jew stereotype, except they're just putting makeup on them and saying it's an alien race. And I don't know. When that occurred to me about Star Trek, I liked it less, even though I think the stories are much, much better than Star Wars. But that's my take on it. Also, Star Wars is so absurdly overrated, it's not even funny. I think something like this is going to be the best I can do. The circles are not working. But yeah, just this whole section. Just don't even try to make it look human. Just make it just all these sparkles and shit. And then just sort of... Maybe I don't even need the circles if I do it that way. I don't know. I think that's the direction this needs to go in. The only time I have heard Katy Perry is when she did the Super Bowl halftime show, but that's like, I couldn't spot a Katy Perry song since, I don't know, how long ago was that? 10 years ago that she did that? And I know I watched a movie and there was a Lady Gaga song in the soundtrack because somebody told me that's Lady Gaga. So technically I have heard a Lady Gaga song in my life. But it's just, Star Trek is higher on my list to see. I'm still slowly working through the original Twilight Zone and Outer Limits. Those are pretty great. Twilight Zone, the original Twilight Zone, it's pretty good, but it does get kind of repetitive when you get into the later stuff. Or just sort of the reliance on a twist makes it predictable. It's like, you know, whatever's happening, it's not quite what it seems, and it's gonna turn around. And when every story goes that way, then you start anticipating it. But it's really good. There's some really cool stories. I did have a book of Richard Matheson scripts, Twilight Zone episode scripts, and that was pretty cool. Even though somebody told me Richard Matheson was an asshole, but I don't remember why. But yeah, like Rod Serling wrote, I think 80% of the episodes, but they had a few written by other people. I think this is just going to be the best I can do. Then maybe in the background, have it black. Yeah, you can't really tell there. I hear modern pop music in Ubers now. Ad blockers eliminate all the TikTok ads I used to get. I don't watch the TikTok. The concept of TikTok offends me, but that's just me being a grumpy old man. All right, I think this is going to be the direction of the effect. That, and then sort of have it boop, boop, boop. Something like this, only better. So I think the plan is to do sort of an ink layer. Yeah, I did take an Uber and well, it was a Lyft, but recently, and this guy was listening to Little John, which I only know because I could see it on the display. He was listening to Little John. Is that who it is? Whoever it is, some popular guy with John in his name. And like that was, another artist I'm familiar with, but never listened to their music. And it's not out of any kind of malice or dislike. It's just not really the kind of music I listen to. And in this modern day and age, you don't have to listen to the radio and just listen to whatever's on the radio like you did when I was growing up, which is why I'm familiar with a lot of 80s and early 90s pop music. And I know a lot of those songs because you had 3 radio stations to listen to, and 2 of them were country. So you just had to listen to whatever they had that one good radio station played. I don't know. Do they have top 40 radio stations anymore? Does top 40 exist anymore? It has. I have been thinking lately that I don't understand how people can watch YouTube or use Facebook or any number of websites without ad blockers, including Twitch. Although the ad blocker, uBlock Origin's been kind of spotty about catching ads on Twitch lately. But it's just, I would never use YouTube if I had to look at all of the ads, or Facebook, because they just make it so unbearable. I load them. It's like everyone's asleep. It's all slow jams mostly. Oh, I assume yes, they do means they still have top 40 radio. I mean, I don't know if this still happens, but it used to be kind of interesting that there was this like dichotomy between pop music and rock, but they still were on the top 40. Like you would hear Nirvana and Britney Spears on the same top 40 radio. Maybe not Nirvana, but something like that. I don't know if that's still a thing that happens now. Everything is probably, you'd have a hard rock top 40 and a soft rock top 40 and a hard pop and soft pop. Something like that. I've just been kind of absent-mindedly just adding little stars. I think the circles don't quite work with the stars, even though I love the idea of the circles. Maybe I can integrate that somehow. Maybe if they're more uniform. I don't know. I think... Nah, that's just dumb. Dumb. So maybe instead of that, maybe just have it the whole thing like one long tube instead of having it wrap around their specific body parts. Maybe that would work better. And then add that on top of it, sort of. I don't know. I'll think about it. I think I am running out of steam, and I'm probably going to call it a night. I got a lot more done than I thought I would. I think the faces look a lot better. That was one thing that I was really unhappy about. I think those I can work with. Still, her neck is, I don't know what to do with her neck. Maybe her shoulders should be different, and that'll make the neck look better. I don't know. But yeah. I think I'm going to call it a stream. The only radio station listen to local college radio and New England public radio, or as my mother calls it, music to fall asleep. The wheel. Nice. Oh, I remember. WERU in Blue Hills, a public radio station. Yeah. The closest that we could get to college radio, since there were no college radio stations in the area. And that was very eclectic. Oh, but anyway, well, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for lurking and following and whatnot for everybody else, all the people. And I'm going to be putting this whole stream up on YouTube. I've been pretty good about doing that lately. And if that's something anybody's interested in. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. Thank you for not watching. I'll catch you folks later.